Hi, I'm Scott Berry with Roland US, and I'm here to show you the FA series workstation. What I have in front of me is actually the 06, which is the 61 version. Two models that are available is the FA-06 61 key, the FA-08, which is an 88 key. One of the things I want to show you really quick, which is fantastic with this workstation, is the boot up time. Just from turning it on, she's up and ready within about 8 to 10 seconds. You may not think that's a big deal, but it is if you've got an idea and you're trying to get it out of your head and get it into and turn it into something that's musical. So basically, what's happening in this time is that the sample data and the first sequence song is all being loaded at that time of startup. The reason why it's so fast is that all the FA models are shipped with a 4 gig SD card, and it's flash, so it's coming off of that. So basically, by hitting the bank button, I can select one of 4 banks that are 16 samples. So just by picking the pad of bank 4, now I can actually access the samples. Samples can be imported very easily onto the SD card. They can be WAV format, they can be MP3, they can be AIFF. I've seen guys use it as backing tracks, sound effects, intros, endings of songs. A lot of things that you can do with the pads. And let me show you, you can actually hold 4 down at a time, so if you've got different rhythms that you're interchanging or trying, you can actually do that. So check this out. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's possible and what you can do just with the sample pads. And I'll show you some other things with the pads a little bit later. Right now I just want to move to the middle of the keyboard, which is basically the heart. We have category buttons underneath the screen, so it's extremely easy to find, locate, and go after sounds if you're looking for something specific. For instance, like strings or anything like that. So right underneath here, right on the start, I got A piano, which is acoustic piano, and right below it says E piano. So just by hitting the button a second time, I've got now an electric piano. And I've got the full grand piano. So the category buttons are very, very helpful, very easy to find things. If I want to see all of the sounds that are available, I can just simply hit the enter button. By hitting the enter button, I've now opened up basically what's all in the piano category. I can use the cursors to move over to the other categories that are available. There's 2,000 sounds available that are in the FA. Those consist of supernatural acoustic sounds, supernatural synth sounds, supernatural drums, so think V drums and things, and PCM, which is a lot of the old Phantom things and a lot of things that Roland is very, very known for in that end of since the beginning of the digital end. So you've got a huge palette to choose from, very easy. Let me play a couple of these. Here's the full grand piano. Get an idea. It's a great sound. Electric piano. Great sound. So that's just a couple of the sounds that are in there. But I'm going to show you some things that are really, really cool. A lot of keyboard players, like myself, sometimes we just want to do very, very simple things, like a simple layer or a simple split. And normally you have to go in and you've got to start to program those and go in and kind of go deep and get that set up. Well, on the FAs, we have dedicated buttons for this. So basically, over here, I've got a dual button, which is a layer, and a split button, which is a split. So just by hitting dual, automatically up on the screen, I see that I've got 2 sounds. Right now, they're both full grand, but they show and they are the entire length of the screen. So meaning, in visual, you see it as a full layer. So by changing that, all I have to do is just hit a category button. If I didn't like that string sound, I can easily hit the enter button and change it. But for instance, strings and piano is a very, very common layer. So over here, we've got 6 real-time control knobs and a matrix of 4. So basically, there's a little arrow that lights up. There's 4 lines of different options to use these knobs for. So the top one is cutoff, resonance, attack, release, pan, and the last thing is level, referring to volume. So since the strings are highlighted, that means I can edit them using the knobs. So for instance, got my piano and strings, but if I use the level, I can control that right there on the fly, which is great. Again, for something live or something that you're moving quick, or you may want to phase the strings out while you're playing the piano live. Very easy. In split mode, by hitting the split mode, visually I see what is in my left hand and I see what's in my right just because of the way the screen's set up. It's actually showing piano over here right now and strings. Fantastic, because a lot of times we don't know which one's on the bottom, which one's on the top just by looking at two sounds. So being able to see them separated like that is just, I love the visual feedback on this keyboard. And as you noticed before, when I hit the level, I'm actually getting visual feedback of which knob I'm turning on top of that. So it's just absolutely awesome. If I want to change the split point, all I have to do is hold split and pick a new key. It's that simple. So I can do these things on the fly without having to go in and go deep or program or have it, digging for something I've already saved. Now I can save this. I just have to hit the right button and save it and call it up. But if you're doing this on the fly, if you're a church gig or a live gig or anything like that, it's just really, really, really easy to navigate. So check that out. By hitting both buttons together, I enter into what's known as studio set. By pushing both buttons together, I am now in an area that I can layer up to 16 sounds. Now, they don't all have to be layered. They can be split. Some can be layered. Some can be layered somewhere else. I can run arpeggios on some. There's a lot of different options that you can do, but in this area, this is basically the biggest form. For a user area, we actually have 512 user areas for studio sets. So a tremendous amount of room to store your own stuff, and I think it's more than plenty. So I think you'd like that. One of the other things I want to show you why I'm in this right now is basically another option we can use for the pads. By going into Pad Utility, which is the top button up here, pushing Pad Utility, coming over to the screen and finding Pad Mode, which is actually, I think, F6 or number 6, I can change the pads to what I'm going to change to number 2, which is Part Select. So by hitting number 2, now I can basically change my sounds using the pads. And keep in mind, this is in a studio set, so basically I'm just moving through and scrolling through this way. This is great as an option for live because you may decide you want your bread and butter sounds on 1 through 4, and then maybe a chorus sounds on 5 and 6, or however you want to do it, but you can actually live and do quite a bit just inside one studio set. But also you can do things that are really cool, like I can hold the string, I can bring the piano in, and then get rid of it. Very seamless, just by bouncing to the sound. So that's just different options and different ideas to do things, so definitely be creative. I also want to show you some of the supernatural behavior modeling that's available in the Supernatural Acoustic Engine. Example here I'm going to show you is an acoustic bass. Great sound. But one of the things that we can do, and this originally came in through the Jupiter series and then into the Integras, and the FA is basically an Integra 7 bass keyboard. So in this acoustic sound, it's a bass. We can do walking basses, we can do all kinds of other stuff. It's a great sounding keyboard, but one of the things that we can do is we can hit 2 notes together. May not be the sound that we're looking for. Not really what a bass player is going to do, but if we play like a bass player and we actually roll into it and play like that, we get 1 note. Now, if you notice, both keys are down. So I rolled into it to create that 1 note, which is how a bass player would play it, and that's exactly how it would sound. If I let go of the one note, leave another one down, I get the hammer off. But I can still hit both keys. So that's just a part of the behavior modeling for a bass or for the acoustic bass. So, and it's going to be different between which instrument is which. A piano is going to act different than a guitar and so on. But for like a walking bass, It's more realistic sound to what a real bass would play or sound like. And you play like that instead of having to manipulate other controllers and things. One of the other things I definitely wanted to show you guys was the guitar. Into a strum steel, I can do the same thing. I can do that little slide, hit both. But if I chord, I got this beautiful strumming sound. It's just absolutely wonderful. So definitely check that out with everything. And now I'm basically going to go in, I'm going to show you how simple it is to create a sequence on here. And I'm actually going to go into a blank area. So I'm going to go into user area, user studio, sequencer. I'm going to make sure that if any information or song is in there is already cleared out, clear it out. Now at this point, if you could see, every single sound on here except for MIDI channel 10, which is drums, is full piano. So it says full grand, so it's a piano sound. And what I'm going to do throughout this is I'm actually just going to change the sounds by hitting the category button. So, for instance, and so on and so forth as I skip through tracks. Now the other thing too is that we have the pads still set up for part select. So I can actually move and manipulate tracks by using the pads instead of having to scroll. So you kind of see both of that. The other thing that I want to show you is that when I open up the sequencer, there'll be a couple different options for count-ins, 1 measure, 2 measure, quantizing, loop. And basically what I'm going to do is a 2-bar loop. So let's go ahead and open this up, hitting the record button. And my count-in options are 1 measure, a 2 measure, or a wait note. I'm going to do wait note, which is basically the second I start playing the keyboard, it's going to be recording. We're already listening to the click, so why not, right? Great feature. And then quantize. I have the option of grid or shuffle. Grid is going to lock in to the nearest 16th or whatever resolution I pick. Shuffle is going to be a little bit looser. I'm going to leave it at a 16th and probably play a little bit sloppy here or there so you can just hear how it corrects. It's going to default to a loop. It's set up for a 4-bar. I'm going to change that to a 2. You can change it to anything you like. And in fact, a lot of songs out there are set up as 4-bar or 8-bar loops. So working in a smaller area, a lot more success. I think you can have a lot of fun and then just build a loop upon a loop upon a loop if you like, or just run linear. It's up to you. So let's start this. So now we've got a loop going. I can decide, you know what, I'd rather have an electric piano there, so just by pushing the button, there we go, an electric piano. If I hit the record button again on the sequencer, I go into what's called rehearsal mode. And by doing this, what I can do is I can mess around, play with some ideas, and not worry about destroying or ruining what I'm already working on. I'm gonna go to track 2. I'm gonna grab a bass just by simply hitting the category button. You know, and I'm dropping it down an octave. It is a bass, so. And then just wait for the sequencer to come around, rearm it. Boom, and we've got our bass. The other thing that's awesome is that if we made a small mistake, I'll give you an example just by playing something new. Let's say that's not what I wanted to play and I know exactly what I hit and how I hit it. By hitting the play button again, I can go into an erase function. By hitting erase, I can actually go into that area and just take out and erase that little section, or that one note, or that octave, without destroying or changing anything that I've already laid down in my track. Great feature, awesome, very easy to keep moving. Go down to track 10, grab some drums. Cool, arm my recorder. Boom, there we go. Now we got some drums. I can get rid of my clicks by hitting tap on the tempo, click underneath the screen. I can still keep moving. I can go grab another track. How about some strings? Maybe those aren't the ones that I want. Okay, awesome. Notice how nothing's being disturbed, that we're still in a continuous loop, continuous recording. Cool, arm my sequencer, wait for it to come around. And boom, we've got our song. One of the other things I wanted to show you how to do, once I've got our song, I'm going to try something else with the pads. By hitting pad utility again, pad mode, I'm going to go into what's called part mute, which is number 3. So by hitting pad number 3, Now, instead of selecting parts, I'm actually shutting things down. So by doing this and bringing my sequence back up, I can play with the arrangement and then how I want to bring it back in. So just another option and something else that you can play with. It's just awesome at how quickly you can create music on this and just move through it and get ideas out. And I've fallen in love with this and how easy it is and how the workflow is. But we're not done there. Check this out. One of the things, it's like once we're done with the song, what do we do with it? You try and recreate it in a DAW. Well, in the past, what I've had to do is solo or mute tracks from a sequencer that I worked on in the computer or in the keyboard and try to line everything back up in the computer. It doesn't work like that. It's extremely hard to do. Well, what Roland has decided to do, which is so awesome, is that we have options for exporting as a standard MIDI file, as a WAV file, and as a multitrack. That's right, a multitrack that is also stems. It's the first of its kind, and basically what it does is by executing this and running it, it's going to go through each track and it's going to print audio onto the SD card. It's going to do it in real time, and at that point, you can pop the SD card out, put it in your computer, and then you have 16 individual tracks or individual files that will line right back up in any DAW or any program that you're running. That is just awesome. And then on top of that, there is a dedicated DAW control here on the left. By just pushing DAW control, we can see that it's already set up for Logic Pro, Sonar, Cubase, and a user area. And the user area we can customize however we want. But what this does is that the transport buttons become a controller. The pads can become a controller. The knobs can become a controller. The ones that are already set up are already pretty much mapped, but you can map your own by using MIDI Learn, Mackie Control, and customize it however you want. It's also its own audio interface, so just running USB straight on out into a computer, you really don't need anything else for it. So it's just incredible, incredible keyboard. I think you'll just absolutely love it. You got to check one out. You got to come talk to the people here at Full Compass. For more information, please go to fullcompass.com or contact your Full Compass salesperson. Again, thanks again for sitting with me and going through the FA. I am Scott with Roland. Have a great day. Take care.